Fiber arts. Weaving. Here are some examples of weavings. This one looks like a Navajo blanket, something that the American Indians might have done. Here are two weavings that were done from my middle school students years ago. You can see how patterns can be created in a weaving. And this one is even done out of plastic bags, so anything that is long and thin can be used to weave with. Some looms can be pretty big. This one is not too big, but I'm sure you've seen this loom in the art room. And this was attached to it. This was done on a smaller loom. Some looms can be so huge, machines that are used to weave cloth with to make our clothes from. Okay, so let's get started making our loom. I have 5 popsicle sticks and a piece of cardboard. If you have a clean side and a side that has paper on it, we're going to use the clean side as the front or the decorated side of our loom. And we're going to put the popsicle sticks on the side that has paper. So I have 3 dots of glue, just a dot, not a lot. And I'm going to put these onto the loom. I'm not putting it on the end because the ends of the popsicle sticks are going to be coming off of the cardboard. So I'm going to start my first popsicle stick right in the middle. Get it on there good. My next 2, I'm going to put even with the ends of the cardboard. And here's this one. And then the last 2, I'm going to put right in the middle. And now we have to wait for this to dry. We can't do anything with this yet. So I actually did that one wrong. The popsicle sticks should be on this side. But this is just my example, so it's fine. Now, to start weaving, we are going to take 2 pieces of tape, and we're going to take an arm's length. If I stretch this out, stretch this yarn out 1 arm's length. If your arms are open totally wide, that's about how much yarn we're going to need to warp the loom. Now, warping the loom, the way I remember this, is if you took a piece of paper and wrapped the yarn around it, if you pull it too tight, it's going to bend or warp. If you have something that is plastic and it gets too hot, it warps. So that means it's bending. So I remember that if I'm wrapping my yarn around the loom too tight, it would warp. So the yarn that we wrap around is called the warp. I'm going to just take a piece of tape and tape this. Well, try not to cover your name, so let's tape it to this side. We have our first name, last name, teacher's name and grade on the back. This is the back. I'm going to go around the front of the loom, around the stick, and down and around the back and up. I'm just wrapping it top to bottom, going around. I don't want to keep wrapping the yarn around this way. It's using up too much yarn. So I'm just going to wrap it around the ends. And when I come back over here, I'm going to take my second piece of tape and just tape that down so it doesn't move. And then trim off the rest. So this is our loom. This is warped, our warp yarn. Now we are going to do the weft. And I remember which is which between warp and weft. As I said before, if you warp too tight, your loom would bend or it would warp. That's how I remember. That's warping around the loom. And the weft is the part that we weave from left to right, and left rhymes with weft. So that's how I remember which is which. Now we're going to use a needle for our yarn for the weaving. The yarn that we're going to use for the weaving, I think maybe 1.5 or 2 arm lengths of yarn would be enough for this whole weaving. The yarn has a thickness to it, and it's really kind of hard to get it into the eye of that needle. So I discovered something really amazing on a YouTube video. If I just take a small piece of paper and fold it in half, and I'm going to put the end of my yarn in it like a hot dog. We have to make sure that the width of this paper is not bigger than the eye of the needle. And check this out. Boom. Right in. I love that. What a great little hack that is for anyone who is doing any weaving with a needle and thread. So here's how we weave. Weaving is under and over, under, over, under, over. So I like to start going under, and then I'm going to go over the next one, under, over, under. I have to grab that needle, over, under, over. So here we did every other one, under, over. That's a pattern. Pull the yarn all the way through, leaving a tail at the end, a few inches, and then push this up towards the top. So now our last weft yarn is on top of the yellow. So we need to go around the corner. That's what I call it. We're going to go around and then start doing the opposite of here. So if this red, the weft, is on top of the yellow, I now have to do the opposite, or under the yellow. And then over, under, and just keep repeating our pattern, over, under. So everything in this row is just the opposite of the row before it. Pull the yarn all the way through. We want to make sure we don't pull it too tight. If you start seeing this happening, you're pulling it too tight. So you want to keep it a little bit looser. Now we have our weft yarn, again, is on top of the yellow, which is the warp. We want to go around the corner and do the opposite. So I'm going under. This one's going over. My next one is going to be under, over, under, over. And again, just keep repeating that. Pull it all the way through. And now be careful you don't start just making big open weaves zigzagging down. You still want to make sure this is pushed up snug. And we just keep going. I'm going to go around the corner. This is over. I'm going to go around the corner under and do the opposite of the row above. Pull it all the way through. If you find that you're pulling it through and the row that you just wove pulls out, it's because you didn't go around the corner. So now I have finished my weaving. I cut the yarn off. I have the two ends over here. There's different ways you can do this. You could just pull it around to the side and tape it. You could trim it a little closer and glue it underneath. You could tie these ends together and tuck it underneath. and I'm just going to do that now. It's up to you how you want to end this. But just to do this now quickly so we can move on, I'm just going to tie the ends. I'm going to trim that, and I'm going to tuck that underneath there so you can't see it. And by the way, if you want to change colors, or if you run out of yarn, just take your two pieces, knot it together, and thread the needle the way I showed you before with the paper, and just continue. But make sure you tuck that knot behind so that you don't see it. Now you have the opportunity to embellish with whatever you'd like. Are you making a person? Are you making an animal? Are you making an alien? We've got feathers and lots of different kinds of beads. I have more beads than this. I've got some different kinds of flowers. We've got googly eyes and pom-poms of all sizes. I've got large wood beads. There's buttons. We have pipe cleaners. I've got lots of other things. I've got pieces of felt. There's lots of different things that you can use to embellish this with. One suggestion is if you are making arms, you can use the pipe cleaners or a straw and just tuck that pipe cleaner behind it, and you've got arms here. You can create hands or fingers or, you know, whatever you want to do. You know, you decide how you're going to do it. You can use a straw if you want the arms to be out straight. You can put the straw underneath in there. You can make legs out of felt, or you can cut the straw in half or in quarters, whatever you want to do with this. I want you to use your imagination. I want you to be creative. And so have a great time with this, guys, and have fun. Bye.